Boom. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, traders. I hope you're ready. Yeah. Got my tea ready. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. All right, I'm gonna take this. Woo! Okay. I'm excited. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Okay. All right, traders. Yes, nice. All right, traders. Welcome to another one of my live sessions. I actually promised you this year that I would actually be doing a lot more live sessions, and I continue with that promise. I will, with greater degree of frequency, just pop on with you live. And in some cases, if things are really hot and a lot's going on, I might pop on here live even more than once a day. So I'm putting everything in place to be a little more connected with you, with my very loyal following, which I so greatly appreciate. I want to thank all of you for supporting the channel. I want to thank you for liking those videos. I want to also thank you for taking the time out to comment on the videos. You have no idea how that greatly benefits the channel. Whether your comment is positive, whether your comment is negative, it really doesn't matter. Your engagement does help the algorithm, and it does help the word of this, or the power of this channel, I believe, spread throughout YouTube. Now, I also want to let you know that there is a revenue component to YouTube channels, as most of you know. And many of my long-term followers know that I utilize all of the revenue generated from this channel. I donate those funds to a variety of causes. And one of the key causes that I've been supporting from 1994, actually, guys, 1993, actually, is economically disadvantaged women with children, especially in urban areas throughout the United States. I've also spread those philanthropic activities throughout Latin America as well. So this channel is dedicated almost entirely to that segment of our world's population in need. It is something that I've had a passion for since my first taste of success, all the way back in the early 1990s. And I always made it a point of mine that I would dedicate a portion of my professional services to that cause. I'm also, guys, a very big supporter of the arts. And this is something that I'm constantly I constantly have taught my children. They've been raised to basically support the arts. I want you to understand, traders, that out of all the professions this world has, the profession of art, whether you are a painter, a sculptor, whether you are a singer, or even an actor, the arts, that's the only profession, especially as it relates to the physical arts of painting and sculpting, creating beauty, all right? That's the only profession in the entire world where you can be the best at what you do, and the world does not compensate you for that greatness. You can be great. You can be amazing. And it's the only profession in the world that does not compensate you for rising to the top of your field, being better than most people, if not being the best. And so that is an area of life that I've always taught my children that we have to be responsible for supporting. At the end of the day, we are our brother's keeper. I believe that. That is my philosophy. That is how my parents raised me. And so it's those areas that I definitely donate to the most heavily and have been doing so since the early 1990s. All right. So just wanted to give you a little background regarding that. And that's what this channel is dedicated to. All right. So your comments, your liking this video helps. Your comments help those causes and also help spread what I believe we do here, which is we positively affect people's lives with very solid, powerful, in my opinion, trading knowledge, trading understanding, psychological knowledge, trading technique. And I'm just dedicated to leaving behind through this channel and other things as well, like my podcasts and things of that nature. I just want to leave behind a legacy or a body of work that very sincere people who are entering into this space called trading or active trading have a place to go and know that this is real, this is meaningful. Just because it doesn't have a price on it doesn't mean that it lacks value. And when I started all the way back in the early 1980s, guys, I placed my first trade in 1981. That's crazy. I became a professional in 1986, almost 1987, actually, December of 1986. But had I had a body of work, had someone laid a blueprint, had someone talked about the psychological challenges and how to deal with them during your progress towards success. If someone told me in the beginning that I was supposed to lose, I don't think I would have been depressed as much. If someone really had some work out there that I could reference every single day that gave me hope in my deepest, darkest, depressed moments, I think that my path toward eventually becoming a professional trader would have been a lot easier. And in my opinion, more importantly, I think that journey would have been a lot shorter. And so I hope that what I do here benefits those coming into the industry like I did back in the early 1980s, but coming into the industry with greater odds of success, with a greater base of real significant knowledge. I hope you also understand that I don't use this channel to jam things down your throat. You don't see sponsors every 10 minutes in a video. You don't see companies that I'm peddling because they pay me. I don't do that. I don't even really market my own services here and all that I do in the trading space. I'm all about putting the knowledge out here on the channel. If you want to take that extra step to join the family and become one of my funded traders or to join my Bitcoin trading club, that's a decision you have to make, but it is not something that I'm constantly jamming down your throat. That's not what this channel is about, and I will never do that. All right. So anyway, guys, without any further ado, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to touch base with you. As many of you know, I have been increasingly more passionate about the cryptocurrency space and more specifically Bitcoin. I started this fascination, I would say all the way back in the all the way back in 2019. And when I finally got it and the light bulb finally turned on in 2019, I realized that, wow, this is something that perhaps I should have been involved with earlier, but I'm very glad I got the message now. But in late 2019, it was apparent to me from my technical expertise, from my many years of experience, it was not the time to make my foray into Bitcoin or any other of the other cryptos at that current time. I felt that we needed more downside. I felt that the market needed to collapse one more time. I wanted to see one more collapse in that market. And we got that thanks to, in large part, to the worldwide collapse of financial markets in, as we know, what happened in March of 2020. That brought the market down to a successful retest of its prior low. Now, my traders know that we call that event a market law number 4 event. If you're my traders, you know what a market law number 4. I have these market laws that I teach my traders, and we base a lot of our trading decisions off of these market laws. And so when a stock or a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin has a big run up, but it crashes after that big run up, and that crash fails to actually break the prior low of the prior decline, stabilizes and shows strength there without making a new low, we call that a market law for bottom. That market law for bottom I called on March 12th and 13th. So March 12th and 13th, I began a huge, heavy accumulation of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the only two that I was familiar with at that particular time. That was the only two. And I started right at the last bottom in both of those markets. And so I got Bitcoin, guys, on March 13th as low as $3,800. In all honesty, I did not start there. I started off just under $6,000. So I had orders at 6,000, 5,000, but big blocks, 6,000, 5,000, 4,000, 3,000. Now, guys, the way I place orders, when I'm placing, my traders know this, when I'm placing orders and layering into a play like that as it goes down, I'm going to play a little bit above the round number. I will never play the round number. This goes all the way back to my professional days as a market maker. Round numbers are very crowded. So if I'm looking to buy at 4,000 and the stock's coming down from 5,000, 4,500, I'm going to place that order at 4,150 or some odd number, 4,289. But I'm going to sit my order just above that fat round number of 4,000. Boom, if it blows through that, I then place my order in the 3,000s, right? And so I might choose 3,171, some odd number, but never on the round number and never on the medium round numbers either. So I won't do 3,000. I won't do 3,500. These are novice pile up numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's very crowded. And oftentimes your market, they're so crowded that the market doesn't get to the round number. And so when you look at things that are actively traded that are moving down, you'll see very surprisingly how often the market comes to a whole number just before touching the whole number and reverses. That's because the whole numbers are the most crowded prices in all markets. And I teach my traders to trade around those whole numbers. So anyway, I digress a little bit. So I made my first personal foray into Bitcoin and Ethereum on March 12th and March 13th. Now, these dates are infamous for me because I was in New York City at the time, and I had a huge event at the at NASDAQ's headquarters in Times Square. That was on the 13th. But I began the accumulation on the day before that event, and I continued right after the event and got those low prices. So I've been involved in Ethereum from $95. That's the lowest entry price I have. I made this public, guys. That day, March 12th, I made it public to the world. You can go watch that public video that I made, all right, from the lobby of the W Hotel in Times Square, New York. It was right before lockdown. And that video has been watched by millions of people on that day, and especially those who do not believe that that is when I started. And I'm so glad that I have that permanent electronic footprint that will forever be a part of history that proves when I started in this space with my own capital. I would go on, guys, to start a Bitcoin trading club that I ran absolutely free on Telegram. That club grew to over 6,000 people throughout the world who followed every single buy I did, every single sell I did, and thousands of people followed every single play of mine, starting from April of 2020 all the way to now. And I'm actually proud of the fact that throughout almost a year, April will make a year, but throughout the entire year from April all the way to now, all right, I haven't had one losing play. Literally out of hundreds of plays, I haven't had one. I'm not saying I'm not going to have a losing play. I'm saying I haven't had one yet. Now, some people are going to say, well, Oliver, yes, of course you haven't had a losing play. The crypto market has been rising and rising. Well, okay, maybe. But I've also shown these traders I've taught these traders how to hold on, not give up their crypto on some of these pullbacks. I've taught them how to place their orders properly. And I've also taught them how to utilize declines, because the $64,000 question in all markets, traders, is this: when is a decline or a drop a collapse to be concerned with? Or when is the decline an opportunity to pile in more? When is it a gift? Or when is it something to be fearful of? And the majority of market players do not know how to distinguish the difference between a collapse that's a sign of trouble and that you should actually run for the hills versus this is a gift. Are you kidding me? They're giving up their merchandise to me at this price? That's crazy. And so that is what I think one of my best skills is knowing when to hold on, because you can't get wealthy at this game if you do not know how and when to hold on. I remember pounding the table on Amazon at $7. It had come off the low of $5. Many people were telling me, Oliver, it's overbought. The thing came from $5 to $7 in a heartbeat. Dude, let it come back. You should have it pull back. Plus, Amazon doesn't make any money. What are you doing? And I'm saying, look, this is the buy of a lifetime. It was at $85. It's now at $7. All right. I wasn't smart enough to buy it off the low, but it's come off the low. I am telling you, this is the future. Everyone wanted to tell me that, no, Oliver, Amazon's not the future. It doesn't make money. It's the internet stock. The internet may not even be around later on. No company on the internet makes money. They're a freaking bookstore. All right. I go to a bookstore to read and buy my books. I don't need Amazon. Everyone had every excuse in the world why you should make this your legacy trade. And I remember pounding the table. I went public with that as well. I told individuals, and specifically my traders, that I want you to put a portion of your family's wealth into this, and I want you to never sell. I don't want you to be afraid of pullbacks. I don't want you to be afraid if in the news they're talking about collapses or anything negative about Amazon. This is the future. And I had a clear vision regarding Amazon. I had a clear vision regarding Apple. I had a clear vision regarding Facebook. I had a clear vision regarding Microsoft once they got rid of their CEO. All of these things I had very strong convictions about. And that strong conviction basically came back to me in terms of another legacy play called Bitcoin, guys. And so I will tell you that I have been bit very, very hard by the Bitcoin bug. I've taken the orange pill, as they say. It's got me. And I will tell you this, my traders know those of you who have been following me since April of last year, from March 12th, I have never stopped buying. Listen to me carefully, traders. Every single day throughout the entire year, I bought. People thought I was crazy. Oliver, why are you buying this? You were buying it at 100. Why are you buying it at 600? Because I still felt, and I still continue to feel that we are in the baby stages. And I continue to buy. My traders saw me buy more Bitcoin yesterday at $38,000 a Bitcoin. My first buy was at 3,000. Oh, that's interesting. My lowest buy was at 3,800. My last buy yesterday was at 38,000. Now, I'm fortunate enough to have accumulated hundreds of Bitcoin at much lower prices when it didn't take this much fiat to do it. And I'm so appreciative of that, but I do continue to accumulate and I do continue to buy. Now, before I take some of your questions, I just wanted to share with you. Now, I do have an exclusive private Bitcoin trading club that's starting on Monday officially. Hundreds and hundreds of people have signed up over the past week. They're already profitable. Everyone's already profitable. But whether you are part of my Bitcoin trading club, it's 50 cents a day. It's a cup of coffee a day, right? If you're part of that club or not, I want to give you, or I want to share with you some of my targets regarding my two favorite cryptocurrencies. Now, I will tell you, traders, that I can't say that I'm 100% a Bitcoin maximalist, but I'm almost one. It's hard to pull me away from being almost 100% focused on Bitcoin. I have found throughout my career in this market, which spans 40 years now, that there is very little need to focus beyond the prevailing winner in a space. Whether that's mobile technology, like Apple took over mobile technology, there was no real reason to diversify and say, I'm going to have Apple, I'm going to have AT&T is trying to get into the space. I'm going to do Samsung too. They're getting into the space. Nokia, they're getting into the space. They're like, once the winner has emerged, you would not have improved your performance by betting on others other than the winner. When Amazon proved that it was the dominant force in the online retail space, you would not have improved your performance if you said, well, okay, I'm going to have Amazon. I'm going to also try Walmart because they're going to try to do what Amazon's doing. And I'm going to try this company and that company and spread my life and my funds beyond the winner, beyond the dominant player. And guys, if you've been following me for any period of time, I'm not the biggest fan of diversification. I think diversification is an excuse for a lack of talent. Like, I don't know who the winner is. I don't know how to determine that. So I'm just going to take this bucket of paint money and I'm just going to throw it up against the wall and at least something's going to stick. I'm going to take this bucket of money of mine and spread it out over 150 things. And at least I'll be able to one day point to a winner and say, see, I know what I'm doing. Like, I just think that when you have talent, you don't diversify as much. You concentrate. I don't know. I guess I'm just a bold player like that. I pile in, traders. When I have strong conviction about something, I'm not spreading my money thin. I'm piling into that one thing, just like I did in NVIDIA at $9, just like I piled in an Apple at a split adjusted price below $1 now. Split adjusted. Before the splits, it was at $14 and change. But remember, Apple split a variety of times. So split adjusted price for Apple. And I put my whole life savings at that time in Apple. I put a big chunk of my wealth in NVIDIA at $9. Many of my traders are with me. They're here today with us. They remember the NVIDIA trades at $9. They remember Apple. They remember Amazon. They remember Microsoft at $21. They remember Facebook at $18. They remember PayPal in the $30s. They remember Square in the $30s. They remember Home Depot at $28. They remember all of these things. And when I have the conviction, they know that it's just boom. So I tell you all of that to say, I am 95%, maybe a little less, 93% in Bitcoin as far as my cryptocurrency money. All right. I'm a 93%er. I'll play around with 7%, but I just don't see anything that is the same. I don't put any other cryptocurrencies in the same category as Bitcoin. Bitcoin to me is a store of value. Bitcoin to me is a representation of your entire personal human wealth. Bitcoin to me is your freedom, it's your independence. Bitcoin to me is your absolute control of yourself, of your life, who you are, who you represent, and the value that you can protect. Your personal value can be protected by Bitcoin. It is unconfiscatable. It is untouchable. It cannot be banned. It cannot be regulated. It cannot be controlled, and it cannot be taken from you. Your life can be taken from you, but your Bitcoin can't be taken from you. This is a whole other level when it comes to the crypto space. Nothing in my opinion takes that position. It has emerged as the dominant winner in the space. How do we know that? Over 8,000 tries to dethrone Bitcoin have failed. It has emerged as the dominant winner. It has emerged as the most secure. It has emerged as the biggest. It's emerged as number one. And so in my career, betting most of what you have when something has clearly become the number one thing in its ecosystem, that has served me well in the past. All right. That has served me well in the past. So that is why I'd say I'm not quite a maximalist, because I do throw some funds in some other coins and some altcoins as well. But that's more of the trading side for me, and less of the building freedom and independence and the storing of everything that I've worked for my entire life. And storing that, that's a completely different category. All right. So I want to share with you some targets before I take some of your questions here. Let me just take a sip of tea here. At the beginning of the year, I think even in December, I told my traders that I felt that January was going to bring a month-long rest. In the beginning of January, we doubled to $42,000 in Bitcoin. I had a special sit down with my traders and said, look, the market is due for a rest. It deserves a rest. When we get the pullback in Bitcoin, you're going to hear all kinds of stories. You're going to hear that the bubble is bursting. You're going to hear that it's over. You're going to hear that everyone who got into this thing is stupid. You're going to hear that Bitcoin is crashing. I told them, I want you to ignore all of these things. We're going to buy the decline. We're going to buy it, and we're going to buy the decline aggressively. And I told them, as Bitcoin is pulling back, as it's declining, I want you to understand that this is a gift. You don't get depressed about it. You don't look at it like it's over. I want you to utilize it. We want as much time without it moving upward to accumulate as much of this freedom, as much of this independence as we possibly can. And we need an entire month of no more price movement. I also told my traders that after that, I believe that Bitcoin will find its bottom within that month and we will move back to new highs. And my next price targets are $50,000 to $55,000. When? By March. Guys, we're in the beginning of February. I am calling for Bitcoin to be $50,000 to $55,000 by March, sometime in March. All right, so that's my first target. By November, I am looking for, by August, I'm looking for 65. And by August, September-ish, all right, so you got that target. And by November, $85,000 of Bitcoin. All right, so you've heard it here. All right, I'm giving you the same targets I'm working with my traders. Okay, we've been doing this together from the 4,000, 5,000 range, and we continue to do this. So these are my targets going forward, and I wanted to share that with you on Bitcoin. So once again, 50 to 55,000 by March. By August, September, 65,000. Okay. By November this year, $85,000. Now, I'm actually amongst some of the most conservative ones out there. I'm going to stick with that. $85,000 by the end of the year is actually starting to seem very, very, I can't say it seems stupid at this point, but certainly extraordinarily conservative. All right. But we're going to see. I'm sticking with it now, but I do reserve the right to bump that target up depending upon how forceful any future rallies occur. All right. And I do want to share this with you, traders. I want you to stop focusing on price. Bitcoin doesn't have a price. When we refer to Bitcoin as a price, we're looking through the eyes of the US dollar. So it is the US dollar's view of Bitcoin that it is $40,000 of Bitcoin. But that is taking a fiat view of an item. And Bitcoin is independent of the fiat view. It doesn't have a price. And if there's any feeling that the price of Bitcoin is rising, I believe that that's the wrong view. That's just you seeing the value of your fiat declining. Okay? It's the other way. Okay? Bitcoin doesn't have a price. It's virtually infinitely divisible. It's programmable. It is inconfiscatable. It can't be altered. And guys, look, it can't be controlled and run by your local politicians. This is the ultimate code this is the ultimate monetary network, monetary system that is governed by rules and not rulers. But the point I want to make is you can make a mistake in this space very easily by saying Bitcoin is too expensive, so I'm going to focus on a small coin where I can buy a couple of hundred of a whole coin. This is a very novice view, right? Whenever I see that, I know I'm dealing with a market novice. Okay? The numerical unit applied to Bitcoin is irrelevant. If I put $10,000 into it and Bitcoin doubles, my 10,000 doubles. Who cares if the unit price was $40,000 or $4,000? The $10,000 is $10,000 is $10,000. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you had put the $10,000 in at 20,000 or $10,000 in at 40,000. If Bitcoin doubles, it's still a $10,000 gain. So you have to stop focusing on price. You have to stop thinking that Bitcoin is too expensive. It doesn't have a price. It's infinitely divisible for the most part. Okay? So don't make that mistake. Now, let me give you my targets for Ethereum as well. And if you want to, I can take a look at some charts here. As many of you all know, I made my lowest purchase in Ethereum at $95. Now, this is not something I regard as equal to Bitcoin. This is not freedom. This is a core trade that has a lot of potential. I look at Ethereum as if it is Apple's Apple Store. Now, I don't know if you remember when Apple first came out, Apple's iPhone first came out, and its announcement that it was going to actually open up its operating system in the form of its Apple Store and allow developers to develop their own apps on its own iOS system. I don't know if you remember that. Maybe some of you are too young, but it was a big deal. In addition to that, Apple said that it was going to pay its developers. It was going to share the revenue with its developers for building apps on its network. I remember early in the days when Steve Jobs got on the stage at one of his annual meetings, right? And I remember him holding up a sign and saying, "We've paid over $1 billion out to developers." And back then, I mean, that number's little now, but back then that was a huge deal. Wow, Apple paid out $1 billion to developers of apps for the iPhone. And then that caused a whole avalanche of people to come in to say, I want to build apps. I want to build apps for the iPhone. I want to be part of that. If that's the kind of money that's coming out of that network. And then all of a sudden you had this explosion of app developers developing all kinds of apps. Most of them were crappy, but some of them were really good. And so to me, that's what Ethereum is. In my kind of new baby, ignorant way of looking at things, I see it that way. I'm not into as much of the technical detail yet because I'm new to this. But the way I look at Ethereum from the outside in is it reminds me of Apple's Apple Store and how you can build apps on top of that and generate revenue. And so many of the altcoins that you see that have come into existence that are having these glorious rises as of late, they're built on the ecosystem. They're built on the Ethereum network. And so when I look at how far that went, I see a huge wealth building opportunity with Ethereum as well. But it is not permanent to me. I can sell Ethereum very quickly. If that thing spikes way beyond stupidity, I'm taking profits. I'm not doing that with Bitcoin. It's a completely different beast. So while I do see long-term benefit, I don't see it as ultimate freedom the way I see Bitcoin. So I see Ethereum like a long-term trade that I would take profits in and put the profits in Bitcoin and just sit the profits there. If I earn money in the world through my trading, I'm going to take a portion of those earnings for my daily living and I'm putting the rest in Bitcoin. That's not what I'm going to do with Ethereum. Ethereum is a trade, a long-term trade. So let me give you my targets. Our next target is 3,500. Now, guys, I called 1500 at 95. Okay, so we've achieved the first target I had. First target I came up with Ethereum at $95. Guys, you can go look at this. This is public information. I call $1,500, okay, for thousands of people. We've achieved that. Next target is 3,500. Target after that I have is a little wide. It's 5 to 7. 5 to 7,000 Ethereum. And the target after that is 10. I do think that Ethereum has the potential to go to $10,000. Now, I know that there are people out there who are calling for $100,000 Ethereum and 80,000. Look, let me just deal with first Ethereum getting to 3, then 5, 7, then 10. I'll start thinking about $100,000 maybe if we get through some of those prices, but let's not go too far out of our galaxy. You know, I think that there's a danger in doing that too. Like there are people calling for $1 million Bitcoin. I think there's a great potential for Bitcoin to ultimately rise to $1 million of Bitcoin. But let's deal with 65 first, shall we? Let's kind of work ourselves with that first before we start projecting ourselves to $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not leave the world to practicality. All right. So now you know my targets. Okay. You know my targets this year for Bitcoin. You know my targets for Ethereum. Now, I don't think that Ethereum can get to 10,000 this year, but I do think it can get to 5 to 7,000 this year, in my opinion. Okay, so what does that tell you? Based on my view, Ethereum has the potential, just like last year, of outpacing Bitcoin's performance. All right, I was up 800% in Ethereum last year with my in and outs, over 800% in Ethereum. That's up over 400% in Bitcoin. So Ethereum outperformed. And in the beginning, I was heavier. Remember, some of you remember this. I was heavier in Ethereum. So Ethereum got me most of my gains, which when I cashed out of some of my Ethereum, I would cash out into Bitcoin. All right. Ethereum would drop. I'd go back in, Ethereum would pop up, I'd cash out into Bitcoin. All right. So overall, I got over 700%, over 800% actually in Ethereum because of the ins and outs, buying low, getting out on some of the surges, coming back in on the drop. That extended my gains a bit beyond its actual intrinsic numerical number. So I got over 800% in Ethereum and a little over 400% in Bitcoin. I believe the same thing plays out now in 2021. I think Ethereum outshines Bitcoin in terms of its potential move to the upside from a percentage perspective. So if you're just looking for money and not necessarily freedom and independence, Ethereum is your play. That to me is not smart. I think that you don't choose. I think that you play them both, and you play them both within a certain relationship. Whatever your relationship, 50-50 you want to do, 80-20 you want to do, one or the other, that's up to you. So I don't think that you should do both. The only thing that I just want to remind you of is that there will come a point in time, traders, where you can't buy a Bitcoin. There is a supply crisis here. And it's just, when I tell you there's not going to be any available, some of you won't believe me. And I'm going to one day, this is not a forever thing. This is not that far down the line where no person will be able to ever get any Bitcoin of any serious import, any serious amount. Impossible. That day's coming, and it's not that far away. So for you not to start accumulating that now, if I'm right, is really not smart. Just to make fiat? No. This is something way beyond making fiat, okay? All right, guys. Now that you have my targets on both of those and my two favorite ones, yes, I love some of the other coins as well, but they're really trades to me. They're trades below these two. All right. I like Stella, SLM. I like ADA, Cardano. Many of you know I did OGM, scored huge on that. Many of you know we scored huge twice on Ripple XRP. Wow, I think Link, I think they're really cool projects, but they're trades that I can drop in a heartbeat. And anything I make on those, Uni I love the decentralized space right now. I love what they're doing. And that's why they're so hot. That's a big part of the future, I believe. And yes, you can make a lot of money from them, but cash out into Bitcoin. You know, you don't want to ever abandon the constant accumulation of what I consider to be freedom in the future. So someone's asking, let me take some of your questions here. Someone's asking gold. What about gold, Oliver? How do I say this without being crude? You see that finger right there? It's not the one, by the way, but that's how I feel about gold right now. Guys, I have been in gold my whole life. My whole professional life, because I got introduced to the financial world because of my father's gold play. My father had accumulated a truckload of gold at $35 an ounce when the US government was regulating its price and did not allow it to have a free market moving price. He believed, through the help of a friend, that that was not going to be the case forever, and that if the government were to ever, right, take the lid off of gold, its suppressed price over the past decade would shoot up in a huge way. So my father planned for this. Starting a couple of years after I was born, he just began to buy ounces of gold at $35 an ounce, And that it had happened, and it changed our lives in a huge way. It was my first real view of how one financial act, one investment, could change the entire life of a family. And my life changed dramatically from my father's gold play. I mean, our cars changed, our homes changed, where we lived changed, my clothes changed, my schools changed. From that point, I went to the very best schools in the United States. I got accepted to the very best universities in the United States. I lived in the best neighborhoods in the United States, not before, but after. And so I lived what investing can do for you through my father's gold position. And my father remained a gold bug his entire life, which basically made me a gold bug from my young life. I mean, you can't abandon what you saw help dramatically change your family, right? But today I've realized, traders, that gold is the analog version of our monetary system today. It's old. It's freaking 6,000 years old, 4,000 in heavy use. 4,000 years old, traders. It's heavy, it's clunky, it smells. I can smell it now. It's smelly, right? My dad used to have the gold bullion in a closet under lock and key, and we'd walk in sometimes, and it'd smell. Whew! It's smelly, it's bulky, it's heavy, it's barely transportable. You have to babysit it. You got to trust someone with a lock and key and trust that they don't run off with it. If you were to ever move to another part of the world, it would cost you millions of dollars to move it. You got to put insurance on it. Forget that. That's old. That's like horse and buggy stuff. It's too old. It's too slow. It's too clunky. It's too ancient. And Bitcoin has arrived on the scene as being the perfectly engineered new form of gold and more. It's transportable because it's always with you. Bitcoin is just a key to your life. Think about it. It represents an entry that symbolizes your wealth, your value, and you walk, it is with you at all times. It's not sitting at some bank. Someone asked me the other day, Oliver, sarcastically, where is your Bitcoin? Where is it? Can you show it to me? They were asking me in a sarcastic way. And I was like, well, where is your dollars? In the bank? That's what you think. You don't even know where your wealth is. They say it's in that bank. It's not in that bank. You got $1 million. Where do you think your $1 million is? In the bank? You think you can go to the bank and say, give me my $1 million? No. All right. You don't know where your $1 million is either. All right. But I always know where my Bitcoin is. It is with me at all times. So when it comes to gold, I just think that Bitcoin is going to drain a big portion of gold's valuation into it. It's going to absorb. Like I sold the vast majority of my gold to go into Bitcoin. I'm not the only one. I think that this 10 to 12 trillion dollar market, I think that increasingly every single year, a big portion of that gets transferred to Bitcoin. And just that concept puts Bitcoin at well over $200,000 a Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin eats gold. First, I think it takes over silver. I think its valuation takes over gold. I think its valuation ultimately takes over virtually every single asset out there because every asset has a problem. That's the problem with today's financial state throughout the world. There is no sound money option today. Dollars are being printed at the rate of speed, causing the valuation to drop at the rate of speed. Guys, the US dollar has lost 90% of its value from the 1970s, 90% of its value. All right. And yet, so when you have your wealth stored in dollars, you're a loser. No one. So now you have to search for to move your dollars to something else that falls less in value than the dollar or goes up in value. So the reason why the US equity market has been exploding is because what other option do you have? You can't sit it in the bank. All right. So the US equity market has been used as an alternative store of value. The performance has not been in gold. So historically, whenever you found yourself in political upheaval, economic distress, high unemployment, tremendous uncertainty throughout the world, if there was any year for gold to explode and be the king of all financial assets, 2020 was the year. It didn't do it. So what, like, you can have all the theories you want in the world. What is the market telling you? The market is telling you that it has chosen Bitcoin as the store of value. It has not chosen gold anymore. If this scenario in the world happened in the 1800s, gold would have skyrocketed. If this happened in the 1930s, gold's price would have skyrocketed. It happened this year and gold's up what? I don't know, what's it up? 12%? Some crazy, no, 20% maybe? Maybe? It's no longer the future, traders. It's no longer the future. Gold has a problem. It has I believe it has unlimited supply. Some people say it has limited supply. I'll buy that, but it's constant supply and the amount is unknown. Think about it this way. As the price of gold goes up, more people mine because it's more profitable to mine. As the price continues to go up, better mining technology gets created to mine more of it. Without that, now we've got gold being produced at between 2 and 4% a year. That's an inflation rate. So if you put a 2 to 4 year leak, if you take a battery and it loses 2% of its energy, you take a battery, right? And you stick power into this battery, but every month it has a leak of energy. Think about this. So it has a 2% to 4% leak a year. So break that up into monthly. There's a little leak every month. After 10 years, this battery's energy is almost zero. That's the problem with gold, that the world's supply is constantly being added to. And this is what Bitcoin fixes through its permanent code of 21 million Bitcoin. Guys, think about this. When you limit the supply of something and the demand goes up, the price can only go up. You need both sides of that. There are things that are limited in supply, but they don't have any demand. Like I can tell you, I've got a smelly sneaker that I bought that 10 years ago, 15, 30 years ago. I have a smelly sneaker by LA Gear. Anybody remember that? I know I'm dating myself. And LA Gear doesn't exist anymore, but I've only got one of them. I lost the other sneaker and it's smelly, but it's the only LA Gear sneaker that you can find. Now that's a rare item, but how many of you would want to own my smelly sneaker from 30 years ago? None of you. Well, maybe a few of you, but you know what I'm saying, right? So it's not just limited supply. You've got to have demand as the other part of the equation, and Bitcoin has that. There is no other asset that is receiving the institutional adoption that Bitcoin is receiving now. It is a global brand. It is only going to continue as it gets rarer and rarer. And this is why my conviction is so deep that you can only see a price increase when that formula exists. It's impossible for it not to go that way. The only way is for demand only way to change that is that you increase the supply, which cannot be done, but the demand falls off. And guys, look at this, demand falling off. There's $400 trillion of value in the world today. This $400 trillion worth of value is spread out into different things. It's spread out into currencies. Some is in gold, some is in silver, some is in the stock market, some's in bonds. some's in straight fiat cash, some's in real estate. I'm talking about the whole global world of value is sitting somewhere, okay? Currencies have the majority of it. And then you can go down the line from there. Currencies, real estate, gold, silver, the stock market, whatever. You go down the line, but it's somewhere, right? $400 trillion. Bitcoin is $750 billion today. So think of this. Think of 400 trillion, 750 billion. Think of 1% of this going into Bitcoin. Think of 2%, just 2% of 400 trillion, just saying, let me put 2% in. Let me put 5% in. And it's going to happen just like it happened with me. I kept putting in. If a portion of that $400 trillion works its way over to Bitcoin, and why not? I am telling you, this thing is going to freaking explode, traders. Because that $400 trillion block of value is disintegrating at a speed that's more rapid than any other time in history. That $400 trillion has a problem, and it's seeking for a solution. And an increasing number of people on that $400 trillion side have recognized the solution is Bitcoin. I've got to at least put 5 or 10% of what I have over here there. And as this demand starts to happen, you're going to see this price explode and explode and explode. It has less than 1% of the world's value, yet it has the best record over the past 10 years of any asset. Irrefutable. It has the best record of the past year of any asset ever in the history of the world. It has the best 10-year record of any asset in the history of the world. It has the best record of any year of any asset in the history of the world. It has the best record and a quarter of any asset in the history of the world. It has the best record of a month of any asset in the history of the world. I mean, I'm not talking a philosophy here. The numbers are telling us, and I'm constantly teaching my traders, don't go by your belief. Look at what the market is telling you. The market is quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, telling you, I've chosen that to be the future. Why do you think the numbers exist like that? Why do you think this thing has emerged as the dominant thing? Why do you think the statistics are like that? Why do you see adoption at the speed of light now from the institutional world? Why is the term Bitcoin more ubiquitous today than the golden arches of McDonald's throughout the world? Why? Why is this? The market's telling you, I've chosen my future. It's there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have these things. Why is Oliver Velez there now? You know what I'm saying. All right. Do you need a full Bitcoin? No. Guys, if you can over time accumulate, I think the number is 0.28 of a Bitcoin. That's a little bit more than a quarter. You will be in the top 1% of all Bitcoin owners in the future. Listen to me carefully. I believe Bitcoin's going to flip the world order. I think that the richest people in the world are going to be those who have accumulated the biggest amount of Bitcoin. I think the new world order flips here, traders. I know it sounds kind of philosophically stretched. It feels weird to even say this, but I think Bitcoin flips the world. I think it flips the world order. I think it flips the whole wealth structure. The same way Warren Buffett became one of the biggest, most wealthiest people in the world He flipped a lot of things by investing in the stock market. I think the new world order is this, that the new market that flips the world is not the stock market anymore. Guys, the stock market is mature. It's 100 years old, and the valuation has gone from zero to trillions and trillions of dollars. That's the bubble. Zero from no market to hundreds of trillions of dollars. Zero to trillions, that's a bubble. Zero to 750 is not even a baby yet. That's freaking not even born in the financial world yet. You don't get born until you're $1 trillion. That's your birth onto the financial scene, $1 trillion. So when people tell me that Bitcoin's a bubble, I know that they have zero knowledge of the financial world. Zero. They just heard this from someone. They have no education, no training in the financial world, because to call a $700 billion asset a bubble when dollars are what, 45 trillion? 45 trillion is a bubble. 700 billion? You haven't even been born yet. There are institutions waiting for Bitcoin to reach 1 trillion because the charters in their hedge fund will not allow them to get into an asset that is under $1 trillion. Do you understand the amount of money that is on the sidelines hoping, waiting? Bitcoin, come up, please. Hit the $1 trillion mark. I want to get into this thing. It's too small for a $4 trillion fund right now. But as its price goes higher, its adoption goes higher. As its price goes higher, more institutions can get into it. As its price goes higher, it gets more demand. As its price gets higher, it has more appeal. As its price gets higher, it is more proven to be a staying item. As its price get higher, you get wealthier. And for the first time, thank God, for the first time, you and I can front run all of these multi-trillion-dollar organizations just waiting to get in. And we're getting in now. They can't get in until this crosses 1 trillion. Do you understand? They wish they could get in. They can't get in. It has to pass 1 trillion. And you're going to see an avalanche of money pouring into this when this crosses 1 trillion. You're going to see an avalanche of money that you have never, that the world has never seen for a single asset. I think gold gets drained, silver gets drained, and this is going to collapse the equity market because there's so much money socked away in equities. How else do you get Apple at $2 trillion? How else do you get Facebook at 800 billion, almost $1 trillion? How do you get a Google at $3 trillion? How do you get an Amazon at $3 trillion if money didn't go there? How? How do you even value something like that? Like, I can't value Apple at $2 trillion. Like, who can do that? These are the bubbles out there. Bitcoin's the baby. Bitcoin's the baby. You understand? But it's not going to stay a baby. I can't even get this thing open, but boom, that's the baby. Google Gaga. Google Gaga. Okay, lindo, how cute you are. You're such a little, cute little baby. Mwah. Okay. So I think that once this thing crosses 1 trillion, the gates of institutions open up. Money comes out of the market. Market drops. Money comes out of gold. Gold stays stable, even when it should be rising. Silver doesn't have the move it should have because money comes out of that and goes there. They're waiting. We have the opportunity. The first time in history, the people have the opportunity to get in front of these super wealthy organizations that can't do it yet. If you think that I don't know what I'm talking about, you just Google Mass Mutual Bitcoin. Mass, M-A-S-S, Mutual Bitcoin. And watch that guy who runs how many trillions of dollars under management, said, we've been waiting to get into Bitcoin for $10,000, and it's frustrating that we can't get into it yet. They've got trillions of dollars on the sideline, just waiting. Can't get in yet. We're front running them. You think Wall Street bets shocked Wall Street? Dude, this is going to be the shock of the century. It's going to drain money from all the other problematic areas. Dollars have a problem. Euros have a bigger problem. Fiat has a problem. Gold has a problem. Silver has a problem. Do you know why silver crashes harder than gold? While it does run up. Now, guys, look, if you play the metals, I've been playing the metals. I told you about my father. I've been playing the metals from a young guy, young kid, right? And I know them intimately. So whenever I know it's metals times, I know I'm going to do an 80-20 split. I'm going to do 80% silver, 20% gold. They're both going to rise, but silver is going to outstrip gold by a factor of 3. Silver is a better performer than gold, but you got to pick the right moments. Okay? Gold is a better store of value. Bitcoin's the best now, but gold is a better store of value. Silver is not a store of value. So if I were to look at them, silver is Ethereum, gold is the new Bitcoin. These are the digital versions of them. That might not be totally correct, but for the purposes of my point here, I think it is. So just like I say, Ethereum's going to outperform Bitcoin. I mean, yes, silver, but Bitcoin's a better store of value. Silver outperforms gold, but gold's a better store of value. They're different. The reason why silver crashes when its rally is over and gold doesn't crash as significantly is because the higher the price of silver, everyone starts running and cranking up their silver producing mining machines, right? Silver is very easy to produce. Gold is not that easy to produce, and the hardest asset in the world today to produce, go look it up. It's not my philosophy. It's not my religion. The hardest asset to produce in the world today. Is it diamonds? No. Is it gold? No. Is it silver? No. Is it palladium? No. Is it copper? No. No. The hardest asset in the world to produce today is a freaking Bitcoin. And it gets harder and harder by the hour, by the year, by the decade. All right. And so this is becoming the rarest, the hardest asset to produce with the most limited supply. Think of it this way. There's only 21 million Bitcoin that can ever be produced. The vast majority, let's say 6 to 7 million of it's lost from the early days. I probably would have lost mine too if I ever got into the early days. So I'm sort of glad I didn't get into it in the early days. I probably would have lost it on some computer I threw out. I threw out a lot of computers. But I will tell you this. All of these assets have a problem. Silver crashes because it's easy to produce. All you have to do is get a little uptick in silver and everybody starts mining more silver. So you increase the supply. The price of gold goes up. They're mining. without the price going up, it's mined 2 to 4% a year. If the price goes up, that jumps to 6%, maybe 10%. That's a problem. You increase the supply. Dollars, the US has printed more US dollars in last year than in all the history of the dollar. More supply, downward value. Silver crashes because more supply gets mined. Gold stabilizes because more people mine it. It's more profitable to mine. Bitcoin's price goes up, less gets mined. Wait, what? Wait a minute. Silver goes up and the supply increases because more people mine it because they want to make money. Gold goes up and more people mine it because we can make more money mining gold now. Dollars go up in value, more supply, and the value drops. Silver collapses because more people mine it. Gold stabilizes because more people mine it. As the price goes up, Bitcoin's price goes up, less people mine it. How crazy is that? It gets less, it gets harder, not easier, not more. There's only less in Bitcoin. Everything else has more attached to it. And this is why I am so secure in an upward price. If you were to ask me, Oliver, well, how long? Let me just put it this way. I believe Bitcoin will have an upward movement way past your life and way past mine and certainly way past mine. And I know some people are saying, well, Oliver, come on, man, something is going to go up for decades and decades and decades. Well, yeah. Didn't the stock market do that? Didn't gold do that? Hasn't gold been going up in price for how many thousands of years? No? Hasn't the stock market been going up over 100 years? Isn't the historical length of time that a currency goes up 94 years? Go look that up. The average time span that a currency stays powerful is 94 years. US dollars, what? 100? Every asset goes up. Every provable asset, every proven asset goes up decades, guys. It's not strange to think that Bitcoin is going to go up way past your life. You're going to pass this on to your kids. And if something goes up forever, for you ever, your lifetime, all right? Tesla's been going up for what? How long has Tesla been going up for? 20 years? How long has Apple been going up for? Apple's been going up for 30 years, no? So to tell me that I'm strange because I see Bitcoin going up for the next 30 years, and you've seen Microsoft go up over the last 30 years. You've seen Google go up over the last 30 years. You've seen Amazon go up over the last 20, almost 30 years. If you've seen this in regular things, and this is way bigger than an Apple, this is way bigger than a Google, this is way bigger than a freaking Microsoft, this is life-changing. If those things have gone up for 30 years, do you think Bitcoin, the network that all of them are going to plug into, don't you tell me, listen to me, read my lips, read these lips right here. See these lips? Read these. Apple, by the end of this year, Apple, Google, Microsoft, these three things, Amazon, I'm going to add 4, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. And if we want to do that, Facebook. I'm going to take these 5 things. They've been going up forever, right? Each one of them, by the end of this year, will plug into Bitcoin. They're going to plug something of theirs into that network when it passes $1 trillion. And what do you think? Just Apple getting into Bitcoin, what do you think the price is going to do? It's going to freaking double in a few weeks. Google, Microsoft, Facebook, they're all, Tesla, they're all coming. Do you understand this? Every one of them will plug into that network, and they haven't done it yet. And we're accumulating now before they come. You don't even want the price to move yet. Don't. I pray for it not to go up. Do you understand? Because when these guys come in, it's going to be freaking stupid in a good way. Stupid good. Not just good. That's not good enough. Stupid good. Guys, do you understand what I'm saying? You might not agree with me, but at least do you understand my points? Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't mine more of it. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around for every millionaire in the world. Oh my God. Wow. And some people say, well, Oliver, how can you trust it? Dude, how can you trust the system that you have right now? Do you think your money is where they say your money is? That's not a trustable system. Do you guys know what's called the fractional reserve system that the world banks use? Fractional reserve system. You know that? So look, here's how it works very quickly. Economics 101. Monetary economics 101. I fix someone's sink. I'm a plumber. I fix someone's sink. I get $100 for it because it's a friend of mine. I charged the friend $100. All right. I get the $100 in cash. Okay. I put it in my bank account. $100 goes into my bank account. Boom. The bank takes $98 of my $100 and gives it to someone else in the form of a loan. I'm making this simple with little numbers, right? So wait, what happened to my $100? No, they gave $98 of it to someone else for a loan. So that person gets a loan for $98. I'm making it simple, okay? They put the $98 into their account. Wait a minute, wait. What kind of Ponzi thing is this? Dude, what do you do? You took my $100, you gave $98 to that guy, and that guy opens up an account with $98. And then from that $98, they take $96 to give it to someone else. And that person says, thank you very much, signs on the dotted line. Thank you very much for this $96 loan. And they put that $96 in their account. And then they take the $94 from this $96, give another person a loan, and they take that $94, sign on the dotted line, and say, oh, wow, thank you for my $94 loan. And they open up an account with that check. Talk about a freaking Ponzi scheme? That you would rather have more faith in that? Guys, look, let me tell you something. We have been taught our whole lives to be good citizens, to worship our respective gods. We have been taught to get educated. Don't get me on that. We have been taught to become educated so that we could become good servants. Oh, I'm sorry. Good slaves. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong word too. Good employees of wealthy people. That basically is the American way. That is what we have been taught. I have been taught that from a kid. Oliver, be good. Pray to God. Get your schooling in so that you can be a good little servant one day to someone that's wealthier than you. That is the freaking whole system. And I'm supposed to spend my life. Now, I do that, let's say. Let's say you do that, okay? You do that. You're a slave. I'm sorry. You're a servant. I'm sorry. What's the word I'm looking for? You're an employee and you get paid to go on the plantation. You get paid to go on the job and do your assigned work. You can't leave or you can't stop until you're told when to stop, right? All right. And, okay. You get married, you have some kids, you get managed to buy a little house with your little slave pay. Your little servant pay. I'm sorry. Your salary. Sometimes you take a little vacation, but you've managed to get a little house and you got a little car. Sometimes you need to fix it. But life is decent. Every now and then you meet with your friends or whatever, but you try your best to save a little on the side, to not allow life to hit you so hard that you have nothing. So you want to build something up over the future. That's what you're doing it for. You don't want just say, okay, here's the money in, here's my slave pay in, slave pay out, slave pay in, slave pay out. And so you've been taught also that, wait a minute, okay, it's not easy to save and build myself up to the future because the money that I make, half of it goes the way to taxes. And some people say, well, half of it goes to my government. Some people say, well, Oliver, my taxes aren't 50%. Oh, I know they're not 50%. Your taxes are 70%, right? Don't get fooled. Taxes are like 70% because look, if your government takes 35% out of taxes, then you've got what? You got 65% of what you put out the work. You put out the energy. You made the sacrifices. You made the 100, but now you've got 65 of it. All right. So you're in partnership, right, with your country. Let's face it. All right. The country doesn't work at it. You're the slave, but you pay the slave master just for the right to be part of the system. Right. OK, so good. That's good. We got that. You got 65% of the 100% you worked for. Now, from that, you go out and buy things, but wait a minute, you buy things with the 65% that are also have tax. So you buy food that has tax on it. You put gas in the car that's got tax on it. You buy a brand new car, you pay tax on it. So you've already been taxed on the whole amount. Then the amount that this net of the taxes, you got to buy things that are also taxed. Are you freaking kidding me? Now you got to pay your bills, you got to buy food, you got to support your family, whatever. Then you got to find some way to put something on the side and build your future up over time. This is what I was educated to do. This is what millions of people are told to do. The white picket fence, the 1.8 children, the 2 cars in the driveway, the 1 vacation a year, the health benefits, and the 401k plan. Sounds like we're aristocrats. We're aristocrats here. I've got the white picket fence, I've got the house, I've got the 2 cars, I've got the 1.8 children, because that child is 0.8. Doesn't have everything there. I've got the good education, I've got the good job, I can take a vacation once a year. I've got credit cards. All right. And this is supposed to be your life. Now, here's the problem. The amount that you've saved is shrinking like a freaking ice cube because people that you didn't even elect have decided we're just going to print more of these things. You see, the value of your dollars that you finally tried to save and sock away for your future, this is your future. That mountain of money is being reduced by the second because they won't stop freaking adding to the supply. And so you get tricked into believing that it's the same year after year. My $1,000 in the bank is still $1,000 5 years from now. Oh, no, it's not. Remember what you could buy with $1,000 20 years ago? I'll give you a quick story. My mother bought her first house for $35,000. She put $3,000 down on the house. All right? $35,000 house. My mother didn't do very much to the house. The house was really in good shape. 30 years later, my mother sells the house for $850,000. My mother buys the house at $35,000. 30 years later, she sells the house for $850,000. It's the same freaking house. I walked those floors for 21 years of my life. It didn't freaking change. It's the same house on the same block, in the same neighborhood, in the same city. It wasn't like my mom started building the house over with solid gold. What the heck happened? The value of the dollars declined. The house didn't go up. That's the trick. Oh, housing prices have risen. How can the value of a house go up if it's the same freaking house? It's not the houses going up. It's the dollar going down so that now, instead of it taking $1 to buy this, it takes $2 to buy the same thing. The thing didn't change. The dollar went down. It's worth less. $1 used to, you know how many loaves of bread $1 used to buy in 1913? I don't know. Somebody Google that. 27 loaves of bread? It's something crazy like that. Like you could literally buy 27 loaves of bread for $1. Have loaves of bread gotten a freaking diamond laced remake or some shit like that? Like what happened to the loaves of bread to make it now $3? Like what happened to bread? Did it go through some metamorphosis that I don't know of that helps cure freaking cancer? Like what happened to the bread? Nothing. What happened was that your dollars went down. So now we're told to work for dollars that only go down. Really? I'm not doing that. I'm making the dollars, keeping some to spend on my daily life, because if you don't spend it now, it goes down. Why would you save it if it's going to be less? Cash is trash. So you got to have a plan to preserve your future, because the story that you were told is a lie. The dream that you were sold on is not real. What you are been told to educate yourself for and to work and to give, you see your work more than you see your children. And you give your life to receive what in exchange for your life? Your slavery. What do you get for it? You get dollars that go down? Are you kidding me? No, I'm going to get the dollars. I'll keep some to spend, because if I don't spend them now, they'll be worth less later. And I'm going to take the rest that I don't need, and I'm freaking putting it in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been going up 200% a year for the last 12 years. I don't need any more proof. I don't need to see any more numbers. It's the only thing not going down. Everything else they sold me on is going down in value. Apple doubled last year. Apple doubled in price last year. But did it really double? Or did the dollar get cut? Think about this. Apple's sales are not through the roof. Go look it up. Apple's sales don't warrant the stock going from 1 trillion to 2 trillion. What did Apple do to add $1 trillion? It did the same thing it did when it was less than 1 trillion. What did it do? What did Apple do in a few months to make it go from 1 trillion to 1.5 trillion, and a few months later, 2 trillion? What did it do so dramatically? Did it freaking go to Mars or something like that and found Martians to sell iPhones to? It didn't do anything new. What happened then? Did Apple go up, or the value of the dollar went down? The value of the dollar went down because Apple sales are flat. You understand what I'm saying? Apple shares are flat. Its cash flow is weak, although in reality, its cash flow is good. It's just buying back its stock. So that depresses its cash flow a bit. But you look at the numbers, guys, I've been doing this my whole life. You look at those numbers and say Apple should not have doubled. So what happened? Just like my mother's house is not $850. It's just that the dollar has weakened so much that it takes $850,000 to buy what you used to be able to buy for $35,000. We have been duped. But no more. Not me. You're not getting me. No more. All right? I'm switching. Keep a little spend. Whatever I don't need, boom, goes right into Bitcoin. I don't care what the price is. I don't care if you tell me, Oliver, but it's way away from the moving averages. This is beyond that. Do you understand that? But it's overbought. It should come down. Forget that. This thing is $200,000 a price because the dollar is going to keep going down. It's not that Bitcoin's going up. The dollar is going to keep going down, which is going to create the illusion that Bitcoin is rising in price. But no, it's the dollar going down in price. You can't get me on that anymore. I'm not ignorant to that anymore. You fooled me once. All right, you got me. But never again. Do you understand me? Never again. Never. You know the story. My mom used to always tell me, Oliver, please. I used to say never a lot. Oliver, please stop saying never. You never say never. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm saying never. You will never get me on this again. I'm putting it there. And let me tell you something, with all of my traders, they see me do this with my real money. I don't talk. I put real skin in the game and I show them. I show them my orders. I show them my buys. I show where I'm placing the buys before they get filled so that if they want to, they place the buys there too. Many traders have watched me take a few $1,000s last year and turn it into millions of dollars. I did it in their faces. And if you think last year was if you think last year was impressive, if you watched me or even participated with me, thousands of people participated with me last year. If you think that's special, just this year and next year, oh my God. You're going to see. You're going to see. You are going to see. I am telling you, whether you join me or not, I want you, if you join me, I just need 6 months. You give me 6 months, I will be with you every day. I promise, every single day I will be with you. I will be with you. You will see behind the curtain everything I'm doing, where I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. We're going to do it together. Every single step together. 6 months. I told you I don't pitch here very much, so just a little bit. It's 50 cents a day. It's $97. Guys, if you don't get $97 of value from me in 6 months, I will hang up my hat in this whole business. Come on. You know that. But this is life-changing. We don't have a lot of time. Do you understand? We need to front run these guys that are coming. They're on the sidelines. They're waiting. When Apple comes, Bitcoin's going to double like that. When these guys start coming, you're going to see a move that you felt was never possible in any financial asset. This is going to eat the world because the world has the biggest problem it's ever had in the whole history of money. It has nowhere else to go. 0 interest rates. Switzerland is now charging people to store their money. Are you kidding me? My father used to get 18% for storing his money in a savings account. He got 21% when he put his money from some of his gold sales. He put his money into a bank, earned 18% on it. And he had a credit union that actually paid more, 21% back in the early 1980s. 18% became 15, became 10, became 2, became 1. Now it's freaking 0. In Switzerland, it's negative. In Japan, it's been negative for 10 years, which means that you put $100,000 in the bank, you get $95,000 back. How do you like those cookies? How do you like them apples? Wait a minute, I give you $100,000 to hold and you give me back $95,000? That's the world today. It has a problem and there's no way to fix it. The only solution is Bitcoin. It's no longer gold. Guys, last point I want to make to you. Have you ever seen in the history of the world, have you ever seen the new technological version of something stay below the value of the thing that it is the improvement for? Have you ever? Has the digital version of something analog, has the digital new version ever stayed below the value of the thing that it is replacing? As an example, remember the phones that used to have the cord? The cord used to get all tangled up. It was a it used to make me so angry. I'd have to take the cord and undo the cord, and every time it would just snap back and just be all over my arm and stuff. You remember those? Remember those with the cord attached to the wall? All right, the ones you can buy on Amazon now for like $37 or something like that. Remember those? Oh no, better yet, remember the phone you used to pick up and it had the rotary dial. Remember those? You pick up the phone and you had to wait for the number to go. And God help you if you had to dial the 0, right? Because the 0 was the longest one. Remember? You dial, oh shit, there's a 0 in this number. 0. You had to wait till the 0 finish, and then, oh shoot, there's a 9. Oh my God, 9. Remember those? All right. Okay. What's the digital version that replaced those analog phones? iPhone. Now, today, I can buy one of those analog phones for $37. Go look it up on Amazon. But this one cost me $1,300. Does the digital version ever stay below the value of the analog version in anything? No. Let me give another example. Remember when you used to write a little letter and I'm going to write my pen pal. My pen pal is in Germany. I have a pen pal in Germany. Ja. All right. Take a little stamp. Remember that? Stamp. Go to the mailbox and mail it. Maybe a week later, right? Your German pen pal would get the letter. You wouldn't know, because then the German pen pal's got to write his letter and send that to you. So maybe 2 weeks from now, you get the response letter from your pen pal in Germany. I had a pen pal. It's like my school demanded that we have a pen pal. So I talked to somebody I didn't know in Germany, actually. For like 4 years, I did that. I don't even know him, never met the guy. All right? What's the frickin' digital version of that today? Email. Is email bigger, faster, quicker, more efficient? Wait a minute. Is email tremendously bigger than writing a letter and putting a stamp on it and mailing, walking into the mailbox and when does the digital version of an analog thing ever stay below the value of the analog thing? When? Ever, never, right? Wait, remember Blockbuster Video? Am I dating myself? Remember when it was Friday. I remember it was Friday. I'm like, yeah, I'd get off work and like, I'd go straight to the Blockbuster. Anybody remember Blockbuster Video? Am I too old? You went to Blockbuster Video. They saw you would spend like an hour and a half in the rows. Like there were so many choices. I don't know which movie to choose this weekend. And then they would have the 2-for-1 sales for the crappy movies. Remember that? And then the top movies, you'd have to pay an arm and a leg, like $20 to rent this for the weekend. Remember that? And they sold popcorn. They sold popcorn, candy bars, everything. And then the digitization of movies came about. And it rocked Blockbuster Video, one of the most successful companies in the history of America. Blockbuster Video was the fastest company. I know it because I traded it. Blockbuster Video was the fastest growing company in America. Do you understand this? And then here comes Netflix, the digital version of Blockbuster Video. And you know what? It put Blockbuster Video to sleep forever. There's that word again, Mom. Never and forever. Never to be seen again. Never to be spoken about again. I think I'm the first one to speak of Blockbuster Video in 10 years. The digital version of the item ultimately dwarfs the item it replaces. I can go on forever with these scenarios. But let me just cut to the chase. The digital version of gold is Bitcoin. Gold currently is 10 to 12 trillion dollars in value. Bitcoin is 750 billion. 10 trillion? 750. And you call this a bubble? This is just getting started. Because this is Bitcoin is the iPhone to gold. Gold is the analog phone. Bitcoin is the freaking iPhone. And I'm not saying, when people say, well, Oliver, are you telling me that Bitcoin's going to go from $750 billion in value to 10 trillion like gold? And I'm like, hell no. Are you stupid? That's crazy. I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to go from 750 billion to 10 trillion. It's going to go way past that. Did the iPhone go to $37 to match the price of the analog phone? Did it stop there? Did email stop at the value of sending a freaking... Did Netflix stop at the value of Blockbuster? Oh, we're just going to become equal to Blockbuster and that's it? No, gold is 10 trillion. Bitcoin is the superior digital version of gold. Gold's not going to 10 trillion. Gold's going to 100 trillion. And you and I, it is going to dwarf the analog version of itself. And if you do not believe this, let me take you back to when people didn't believe Amazon would eat the world. Let me take you back when people called the iPhone a toy, including the CEO of Microsoft at the time. It's a toy. It's nothing. Let me take you back to that moment in time when the internet exploded on the public scene. And people were saying, what is this thing? Where is it? What do you do with it? Why are people saying this is the future? I'm not putting my company on some network that I don't know anything about. These are the same things being said now. I'm not putting my money on a network, the Bitcoin network, that I know nothing about. Traders, you're going to see, mark my words, follow me on this path or don't. But if you don't, I believe, I promise, I'm coming back and I'm going to tell you, I told you so. I'm not above that. I just want you to understand that. I'm not above shouting from the rooftops, I told you. I'm not above it. Don't think I'm above it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it loud, and I'm going to make fun of you. Yes, I'm going to make fun of you. That's just the way I am. I'm from Brooklyn. That's what we do. All right? We make fun of people all the time. I'm going to make fun of you. I love you guys. I love you. I was supposed to make this a Q&A question and answer period. I'm so sorry, man. I just get so passionate and wrapped up about this, guys. They're coming, but we're here first. Let's get this accumulation going. Let's get plugged into this network. It is not even born yet. It gets born at $1 trillion. Many can't act until it reaches 1 trillion. And when that happens, traders, it's this train. You think it's taken off now? It didn't. It's just revving the engine. I feel as though my whole 40 years in this business has prepared me for now to know this opportunity when it hits me in the face. I believe that everything, all of my experiences have brought me here to be able to see it this way. And I'm seizing it. I'm seizing it with everything I have. And let me just tell you this, guys. I am putting so much into this. I'm putting so much into this that if it doesn't work, I hope I can move in with you. I hope someone out there has a spare room or something like that. I don't need a lot of space. Just a cot, a chair maybe to do some reading. But if it doesn't work, I'm going to need you. I'm going to need somebody out there. All right? So I hope I can rely on you. I love you. Guys, BitcoinOliverVelez.com. BitcoinOliverVelez.com. Read through it. See if it's for you. We start Monday. I'm so excited. It's $97, guys. It's 50 cents a day. Come on. Let's do this. And I'm only doing this now because of what I think is going to happen in the next 6 months. It's already happening. Wait, where is it? Where is Bitcoin while I'm talking? Holy. Let me show it to you. This is crazy. See, it listens to me. It listens to me, guys. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Woo. I think I got it, right? Boom. All right, let's do it. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful that thing is. Get ready. Get ready. I hope you're ready, guys. You remember my buys here? You remember? You remember? I made all of that public. You remember? Woo! Love you guys. Thank you. I appreciate you so much just for spending this time with me. Thank you. Ciao.